Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are so happy that you are joining us here on this beautiful summer evening as we are celebrating Shabbat. We are also getting ready to celebrate Maddie and Andrew becoming B'nai Mitzvah. Welcome to all of our family that are here celebrating with us. For whatever reason that you are here, we are glad that you are here with us in person or streaming to celebrate Shabbat and being together. We're going to begin with Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, how good it is that all of us are together.
Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. From the beginning, Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
We'll continue singing together. That is apt with this next prayer, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash. May the whole world sing a new song, a song of peace, of wholeness, and of rest.
Join me. Lie, 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 lie. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Same tune. Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai. Koharetz. Again. Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai. Koharetz. Shiru Ladonai. Baruch Shamo. Basru miyom liyom. Yashu'ato. Shiru Ladonai. Baruch Shamo. Basru miyom liyom. Yashu. From the beginning. Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai. Koharetz. Shiru Ladonai. Shiru Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai. Kol lai lai lai. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Ya 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 la 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 la.
We're now going to welcome Shabbat with light and warmth and hope. So I am very excited to invite up both Maddie and Andrew and their families. Whomever in your families would like to join, you're both welcome to help us light our Shabbat candles, and then we'll join in the blessing with Mrs. Rose.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you to everyone who joined us up here for lighting our candles, and you're welcome to join with me in this reading as we appreciate this light together. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day being among those who kindle light. Perhaps we can contemplate that light that we have, the light that brings us joy in others, and how we can continue kindling that light in our own ways as we continue with L'chadodi.
L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. Shemo v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad, O Shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet l'litui l'hadodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. Likrat Shabbat l'chu v'necha, ki mikor ha'berecha, ve'rosh mikdash nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila l'hadodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. Hit'oreri, ki va'ari, kumi ori, shir tabari, kavod Adonai alayik, l'hadodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah.
Please rise if you are able and face the entrance.
Ro'i v'shalom oteret ba'ala, gam b'simcha v'tzala, tagimoni al segula, ba'i chala. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat l'kabbalah. L'chadodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha lecha dodi lekrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We'll ask if you're able to please remain standing as we have now officially welcomed Shabbat. We'll continue with Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. You may be seated. I invite you to join me responsively in this next reading in the italicized text. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to take, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and our goal is a better world. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Amen. May it be that day in all of those ways for us over these next 24 hours. We'll continue together with Ma'ariv Aravim. We're enjoying these longer summer days, but we are still grateful for the bringing on of evening. If you have a prayer book, it's on page 30. We'll start in the Hebrew and then move over to the English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, bamishmerotehem barakia kirtsono. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, ha-ma'ariv aravim. We're going to continue singing together with this special melody for Shema called Listen. And when you hear the Shema, you are welcome if you are able to please rise. Or you can just keep enjoying it, and that Shema is still just as valid even if you're seated. Oh, sorry, not yet, stay seated. We'll get to Shemon when you hear it, then you can stand if you want. Sorry, everybody.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you will hear if you listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod Malachuto Leolam Ad. Listen to our God. Listen to our God.
Please be seated. Okay. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohim tzavacha, hayom alom alavavecha, vishinantam levanecha, v'dibartam bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha b'derech, uvshachbecha uvkumecha, uvshartam liot al yedecha, v'chayu lototafot beinenecha, uvtavtam el muzuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. La'aman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kadoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzetiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lehem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Thank you so much, Maddie, for leading the Ve'ahavta for us. We are so excited for tomorrow morning. Before we continue, I want to share some very brief words about how this week's Torah portion is related to what we just chanted and what Maddie helped so beautifully lead for us. So our Torah portion this evening is called Shlach Lecha. I'll be sharing more later, but it concludes with the words that we just chanted in Ve'ahavta on that second slide. So the couple of verses above Laman Tizkeru includes laws about the fringes or tzitzit that are worn on a talit. Some traditional Jews will wear a four-cornered garment that they wear all the time. I guess you don't have to be traditional. If you want to do it, you can do it. But regardless, our Torah portion is where the idea of the talit comes from. And traditionally, there's a particular shade of blue that was used for the fringes once. That word was called techelet, if you're familiar. But we don't know what that actual shade of blue was, unfortunately. That's something that was lost to time. So this idea comes into play in our ancient Talmud commentary. When they're talking about blessings, the rabbi asks, when does the morning begin? It's an interesting question. Might seem a little straightforward, but maybe not so much. There's different degrees of light that get into the morning. And they ask in order to know what time is the appropriate time to start saying our morning prayer, in particular the Shema. So some of the rabbis of this time think that it's one can distinguish between a white string or that blue that appears on our fringes of our tzitzit. Now there's some other ideas. Rabbi Meir thinks that the day begins when one can distinguish between two similar animals, like a wolf or a dog. That's an interesting idea. Rabbi Akiva has an even more random idea. He says that it begins when you can distinguish between a donkey and a wild donkey. I don't know what that means. If it was up to me, then day would never begin. But others say the actual opinion that is then kind of cemented as the one to go by is that daylight begins when one can see another person from a distance and recognize them as a friend, which I think is really a beautiful idea, especially for right now and seeing the humanity and the goodness and having that connection with each other as human beings. So on that note, as we think about looking up and looking towards each other and seeing that goodness, in order to introduce our Mi Chamocha prayer of freedom and gratitude, would love for us to take a moment and face each other. And if you have something that you are grateful for this Shabbat, if there's something wonderful that's happened, or even if there's just something small that's going on in your life that you would like to share, I'm going to come around with a mic, and you're welcome to do so. There we go. All right. Anyone have anything to share? Got one over here. Something you're grateful for? Something good that's going on?
Being with my cousins.
Aw, you and your cousins. Amazing.
I'm grateful for my husband and being married 70 days today.
Sweets.
Sweets, that's a good one.
grateful that we are back. We went to Poland for a week and did a lot of genealogy and Jewish stuff. And then we took a river cruise from Budapest, ended up in Prague, and it was a Jewish heritage. And we met a lot of Jewish people from South Africa and all over the world, and it was truly fabulous and amazing.
I'm thankful for being able to be here for my cousin Andrew's bar mitzvah.
I want to share some gratitude for well, I'm going to go first. You go, Mrs. Rose. Maybe you're going to steal mine.
No, I'm not going to.
No.
So I'm grateful for Nate Terry. Nate is the director of Yosemite Lutheran Church, and I think it was 2 years ago, I asked Nate to write a composition for Hanukkah, and he wrote an instrumental piece for piano called the Dreidel Rondo, okay? And recently, I'm going to start this, and then I would like you to finish it. Getting ready for the high holidays, we have the song Return Again, where we return to our soul. In the month of Elul, we start doing that. And Nate took Carl Bach's composition, and would you continue, please?
So I got to talk with the rabbi that wrote the piece, his daughter. He passed away, I think, in the 90s. But I talked to his daughter, and I'm going to publish an arrangement of it that can be used like in the Christian church during high holy days. Like, I just wanted to bring the melody to more of the world, and she was really appreciative of that. So yeah, it was really neat. That melody stuck with me. I've been playing here for like 3 years now, and every time it's just stuck in my head over and over again. So thought I would bring it out.
Amazing. So we look forward for the choir to sing it this pretty soon.
Amazing. Yes, no, we're very grateful for you, Nate, for sure. And actually, I was going to mention the amazing music that we have here at TBS with the concert you had with Arkady yesterday, which if you missed it, it's streaming. And Nate, to have you here is always phenomenal. So with all of that and all of the gratitude that we have, whether we shared it or just thought it to ourselves, we'll sing together, Mi Chamocha.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'eli Madonai. Mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'eli Madonai. Mi chamocha ba'eli Kadesh. Norot Osei. Norot Osei. Adonai, Adonai, Elohim, Elohim. Lai, 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 lai.
We'll continue singing together with Vishamru.
Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Shabbat, la ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים והארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפל.
We're going to continue with our Adonai Sifatai, beginning our Amidah prayers. I'd like to invite you, if you are able, to please rise as we invite Andrew to the Bima.
Page was that again? That was 124. Adonai, sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avorteinu ve'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Isaac, ve'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Hasei Avot V'Imut, U'Migula Livnei V'Nehem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Tagibor leolam Adonai, Mechaye akol ata Rav Leoshia. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umakayem emunato, Lishanei afar, Michamocha bal givirot, Umidom elach, Melech memit, Umachaye, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lichayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol.
Well done, Andrew. Thank you so much. Looking forward to tomorrow afternoon. We're going to stay standing and continue.
אתה קדוש, שמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, הללויה סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated, and we'll now take a few moments of silent prayer. If you have a prayer book, you can use pages 54 to 60, or use whatever words are in your own heart.
שפי תבל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ויעקב ישראל, ויעקב ישפי תבל, ואמרו אמן. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה לה לה, יאללה לה 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 לה לה, יאללה לה לה לה, יאללה לה לה לה, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ויעקב ישראל, ויעקב יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom. A few weeks ago, I spent a few days on faculty at Goldman Union Camp Institute, or Gucci. There's no Goldman relation to myself or Michael, in case you were wondering. A URJ reform camp in Zionsville, Indiana. This camp has brought the magic of Jewish summer camp to many generations, many of us here at Temple Beth Shalom, including almost 24 of our own TBS kids this summer. One afternoon, I met a group that included some of our campers who were at the Migdal, or the climbing tower. This 65-foot tower has different platforms, ladders, and ropes that campers can ascend safely with a team of trained counselors who belay them from below. If campers are able to reach all the way to the top, they can not only see all of camp, but much of the forest surrounding it. There is apparently even a purple tree somewhere in the forest for campers to look for. I can't vouch for that. I've never been to the top of the Migdal myself, but some of my campers say that it is there. And these girls excitedly shared with me how far they went. Some of them indeed made it to the top and saw that purple tree. For some of them, it was their first or second time climbing the Migdal. It was intimidating, but they were thrilled to have had that shared experience and try something new together. Throughout the climb, the campers told me, the counselors helped give them options of which way to go, and they also encouraged them to go further. Sometimes there was a step or a platform out of reach that the camper couldn't see, but once reassured that there was indeed a way forward, they felt encouraged to keep on going. And campers weren't pressured to get all the way to the top, rather to push themselves and do the best they could. I was proud to see our campers cheer on one of their cabin mates who went up a couple of platforms, then she took a seat and chose to not go any further. And that was okay. In this week's Torah portion, as I mentioned, called Shlach Lecha, the Israelites are almost finished with their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Instead of going up a tower, however, Moses and Aaron instruct one leader from each tribe to go ahead as scouts to explore the promised land and bring back a detailed report about the land. The scouts do so, and they return, sharing what they saw with Moses, Aaron, and the entire Israelite community. They say that the land is indeed a land flowing proverbially with milk and honey, and as proof, they brought back enormous grapes that were so huge, a bundle of it had to be carried by 2 men. However, the inhabitants seemed enormous, like giants. The scouts say, "We looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, so the inhabitants must have seen us that way as well." Even though 2 of the scouts, Caleb and Joshua, reassure the people that with God on their side, they will successfully enter and inhabit the land, the people are thrown into a complete panic. They are convinced that they are doomed to fail. They rail against Moses and Aaron, saying that it would have been better if they had died in Egypt. And they even suggest that they should turn around and spend 40 years going straight back to Egypt. So let's get to that interesting grasshopper line in a minute. And first, let's think about how this scene unfolded. Moses and Aaron probably intended for the scouts to report back to them directly as the leaders, but they didn't explicitly say so. Instead, the scouts report not just to Moses and Aaron, but in the presence of the entire people. So what might have happened if the scouts had reported just to Moses and Aaron? The brothers know that the Israelites are prone to complaining, to kvetching, and romanticizing the bondage they endured in Egypt. They likely would have changed the scouts' original message, perhaps even completely removing the giant-like stature of the inhabitants entirely. Perhaps then the Israelites might not have panicked, which, by the way, that panic also offends God a lot. God assumes that the Israelites do not have enough faith, and God even considers abandoning the covenant with the Israelites, but Moses successfully asks for the forgiveness on the Israelites' behalf, and God agrees. By the way, we see those verses during Yom Kippur. At the same time, there is value in honesty and transparency in the way things unfolded. The leaders and the entire community heard the entire message as it was reported. But only one perspective was really heard: the scouts who felt overwhelmed themselves, who saw themselves as grasshoppers. That fear was the prevailing message, so that's what the Israelites received. Just like on the Migdal Tower at camp, the scouts might not have been able to see all the platforms and potential ways forward around them. They were stuck, and as one might feel several stories up or in a wilderness surrounded by giant inhabitants, they panicked. The beauty and bounty of the land, how close they were to their goal, receded, and only fear remained. So this is what was passed on to the people, and Joshua and Caleb's reassurances were lost. Joshua and Caleb didn't see themselves as grasshoppers, though they understood the way forward was arduous. They had faith in God, in each other, and in their community. In our modern world, the way news is proliferated and received by each of us is entirely different than scouts of this ancient time, verbal reports, and giant grapes. As you all well know, I'm sure, we receive news instantaneously, and the amount we are able to see, hear, and potentially digest is a window far wider than we as humans have ever been able to comprehend. Stories and claims travel so fast, it's almost impossible to keep up with the steady stream of information, and even when something is disproven as misinformation, it's often too late. As Mark Twain famously said, "A lie will fly around the whole world while the truth is still getting its boots on." But not unlike the Israelites today, it can also be difficult to not go into panic mode with the news and events currently swirling around us, from Paris to pride parades to Los Angeles. I'm sure many of you saw as well the events in the Pico Robertson neighborhood in Los Angeles this past week, as protesters blocked a synagogue and verbal arguments became violent, with other aggressors walking intimidatingly throughout the neighborhood. On a personal note, Pico Robertson was my home while I was in rabbinical school in LA, so it felt personal to me. It was a horrible display of anti-Semitism and violence regardless, that was simply meant to intimidate Jews and try to prevent us from being openly and proudly Jewish, rather than any concern about the geopolitics or this terrible war. It's so easy to respond to these events with fear, and fear and anxiety is totally justifiable. There are many serious problems in our society, and this rising anti-Semitism in particular must be immediately addressed at all levels of leadership, from local to national. But social media feeding into these fears can make it even worse. it can feel tempting to totally disconnect, to admit defeat. It can feel sometimes like there is no real way forward. But Joshua and Caleb can model for us a middle ground. They do not lean into panic like the other scouts, but they also don't seek to sugarcoat the reality of our situation like Moses and Aaron may have done. Instead, they tell it like it is. The road ahead is tough, but they also repeat multiple times in their reassurances, Al tir'u, don't be afraid. At camp on Shabbat, I watched as hundreds of Jewish kids danced around and sang at the top of their lungs a famous teaching by Rabbi Nachman, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar ma'od. The whole world is a very narrow bridge. V'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. But the most important part is not to be afraid. The bridge of our world is more narrow, perhaps more rickety than ever. It can feel like we are hanging by a thread. I don't think Rabbi Nachman is saying that we should completely get rid of our fear, because that may be impossible. Rather, that our fear can't paralyze or diminish us. We have to keep going. We have to keep climbing. And the beautiful thing is that even though we are all climbing on our own individual journeys, wherever those may be, we are also all on this Migdal tower, or this very narrow bridge, together. Each of us offers a different perspective, can see footholds and platforms and moments of respite that perhaps the other can't. We are so far from alone. The top of the Migdal, the other side of the bridge, may not feel as close as we would like it to. That is okay. We just have to continue to find more steps, to temper our fear with reassurances that we share an unbreakable bond as Jews, that the ropes and platforms that support us are generations of survival and grit and resilience, and yes, a whole lot of joy, which we still need now more than ever. And speaking of which, that even in our midst is the next generation, the next link in the chain that is ready to take hold. Shabbat Shalom. As we move forward into our service here, perhaps thinking of support and perspective, we turn to our Misha Berach prayer of healing and of wholeness, thinking of all in our midst, in our community and around the world who are in need of shalom, of wholeness, of peace, whether it be of body, of mind, of spirit. In our community this evening, we're especially thinking of Asher Benaya ben Harav Gavriela David Ailey, Jonathan Adler, Rabbi Saul Agan, Nancy Ashley, Lori Barr, Sarah Bates, Charlie Bauer, Margie Block, and John Bratta. We're thinking of Marge Serrani, Ann Clark and Keith Clark, Bruce Cohen, Ella Dubrow, Sam Edelman, Carrie Eschler, and Marilyn Friedman. We're thinking of Hannah Golan, Alan Goldberg, Yossi Golden, Carolyn Goldmark, Jessica Heffley, Ann Herman. We're thinking of Karen Karlsberger, Beth Jazalowitz, Dan Lang, Minna Melton, Phyllis Miles, David Paragas. We're praying for the healing of Lisa Pena, Jeremy Phelan, Ian Phillips, Rashi Pristowski, Jessica Rathkopf, Willow Rohrbaugh, Bill Rosenberg. We're thinking of Steve Rubenstein, Ralph Sauer, Ozzie Zimmer, and Shelley Zimmerman, as well as any names that you would like to share at this time. You're welcome to do so, or just think of that person in your heart.
Pincus Rosenborn.
We're also thinking of Sarah Siegfried, Nancy Bryant, Roy Bryant, Judy Schneider. For them and all in need of healing, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Avotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
We'll now begin concluding our service, first with Aleinu L'Shabach, which you can find on page 282 or here on our screens. And we invite you, if you are able, to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. As we turn now to our prayer of memory, we first recall those whom we are mourning within the first 30 days in our observing Shloshim. We remember Norma Levinson, Stanley Radin, and Arnon Zamora. We also recall those whom we lost at this season in years past and are remembering through Yahrzeit. We remember Florence Abramson, Louis Kelly Apotheker, Diane Axel, Mary Barger, Jeanne Bernard, Carl Blotner, Irving Brambier, Al Burak, Marilyn Cantor, Phyllis Clark, Irving Cooper, Lisbeth Fleischner, Betty Goldstick, Arthur Hirsch, Hal Johnson, Tracy Johnson, Sylvia Kaufman, Gordon Kemper, Kenneth Mendelson, Jacqueline Robbins, Sandy Rossio, James Sachs, Howard Simon, Harry Singer, Irving Spector, Sigmund Strauss, Stanley Rosserstrom, and Blanche Weiler, as well as any other names of memory, both recent or at the season in years past, that you would like to add. For each of them and for all those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we'll recite together page 294 or on our screens. Yit gadal ve'yit kadash shemei rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mivarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit ale v'yit halal shemei dekudesha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories always be for a blessing. Amen. You may be seated. And I'm happy to invite Becca for some upcoming announcements. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everybody who is joining our congregation for the first time. We love guests. I just have a few announcements to share for the next couple of weeks. Tuesday, July 9th is our next Maj for Millennials program. This event is a continuation from our last Intro to Maj for individuals in their 30s and 40s. July 11th is full. It's a Thursday. We have a full day of engaging activities, starting with a day trip down to Cincinnati to tour the American Jewish Archives in Plum Street Temple. This is stemmed from an American Jewish history course that we are opening up to our congregation. And then in the evening, we have a gaming group that will host a family-friendly game night at 6 p.m. Dinner and games will be provided. And last, for tonight, we have a few open seats for our reservation at High Bank Distillery for tonight's Fourth Friday dinner out. If you would like to claim one of those remaining seats, I believe I have 5. Please see me before ONEG is over so I can get you in on that reservation. As always, please register for events on ShulCloud or ask me for help. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Becca. No, please don't apologize for Abby. So many fun things coming up even though it is the summer, but we are even more excited that tomorrow we are going to be celebrating Maddie and Andrew. We want to wish a big mazel tov to the two of you and to your families. We're going to continue with Kiddush and Motzi, and I'd like to invite again Maddie and Andrew and anyone in the family who would like to join and get first dibs on the challah. You are welcome. Oh, that really got some people moving. Fantastic. But the Manischewitz is for Maddie and Andrew. You guys can pretend to take a sip, or you can drink as much as you like. Whatever you want to do. We're not going to touch the challah just yet. You guys can grab a glass. All right. Let's all join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen l'chaim. Excellent. You both went for it. I respect that. All right, why don't you guys come on over around so you're not pushing and hit the cables. If you guys want to hold the challah together, you can all get a hand on it if you want. Let's sing together. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You guys can all grab some of that challah. And if someone wants to take the plate and pass it around, that sounds great. We are going to conclude our service with Am Yisrael Chai. The Jewish people, the people of Israel, continue to endure and live. Amen to that. Please join us.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, High. 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 Od Avinu, High, High. Od Avinu, High, High. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, High, High. Od Avinu, High. Od Avinu, High, High. Od Avinu, Avinu, Od Avinu, High. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, 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 High. Od Avinu, High. Od Avinu, High. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, High. Od Avinu, High, High. Od Avinu, High. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, High.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This concludes our service.